Since the 13th century, the Shroud of Turin has been regarded by many Christians as the true burial garment of the crucified Christ. Forgery, miracle, natural phenomenon, no one can ever be 100% sure. But tonight I'll meet one of the country's leading experts on the shroud, Dr. John DeSalvo of Golden Valley, to learn of his amazing theory as to the origins of the mysterious image of the shroud.
To some, it is the world's cleverest forgery, a fiendish hoax perpetrated by some medieval painter. To others, an inexplicable natural phenomenon. To many, it is plainly a miracle that this image of a man in the Shroud of Turin is that of the crucified Christ. Since it was first displayed in France in the 14th century, this 14-foot-long strip of linen has been revered as the burial shroud of Jesus Christ. The New Testament records that following the crucifixion, his body was wrapped in linen, later found folded in the empty tomb on Easter morning. This cathedral in Turin, Italy, has housed the shroud since 1578, and on rare occasions, it's been put on display for the public. To the naked eye, the shroud appears faint, straw-colored. But when photographed, the negative reveals astounding detail. 6 years ago, an international team of scientists using modern technology were allowed to examine the shroud with the hope of shedding new light on this ancient riddle. Dr. John DeSalvo, a biophysicist from Golden Valley, is one of the country's leading experts on the shroud.
From a scientific point of view, it's difficult to say, yes, this is a burial shroud. It appears to have the type of textile, the weave, the consistency, the images. Forensic pathologists who study the shroud say, yes, this is consistent with a corpse that is in rigor mortis and has blood stains that would resemble a person who was subjected to crucifixion. So, using circumstantial evidence, I would say, yes, it does appear to be a burial cloth.
But still, with all their scientific know-how, the experts still could not say for certain how the image was formed.
This is my library in which I keep most of my paraphernalia.
Dr. DeSalvo thinks he knows. As executive director of the Association of Scientists and Scholars International for the Shroud of Turin, he has crisscrossed the country speaking, educating, and enlightening people on the shroud and his amazing theory, discovered, oddly enough, while poring through his collection of old manuscripts.
One thing I've noticed as a rare book collector, that if you observe leaves that have been pressed in an old book and left undisturbed for many years, there appears both a upper and lower faint sepia-colored imprint of the leaf. Here's another example of an imprint that was produced by a leaf. This is over a specimen that's over 100 years old, and I theorize that this imprint was produced by lactic acid, which is found in plants. Well, where does this all fit in with the shroud? Well, lactic acid is also found in perspiration of the human body, and therefore I theorize that the lactic acid in this perspiration produced the body image on the Shroud of Turin exactly the same way as the lactic acid in the plants produced the image on the sheet of paper right here.
How does Dr. DeSalvo support his theory? Amazingly, he argues, a three-dimensional photograph of the image left by a leaf in an old book shows the exact same properties of a 3D picture of the image in the shroud, the only 2 times this occurs in nature.
This is the back imprint of the man in the shroud.
In the future, he will test his theory further by soaking a cadaver in lactic acid and wrapping it in linen for 3 days, then artificially aging it 2,000 years to see what, if any, image is produced.
I don't feel my theory answers all the questions, but I think it is the most comprehensive to date. I think more studies do need to be done. That's why we want to go back to Turin to study the shroud.
And now it appears Dr. DeSalvo's team of scientists will be allowed to further study the shroud in 1985. There, they hope to use carbon-14 to accurately pinpoint the exact age of the shroud.
To me personally, the Shroud of Turin is just an amazing piece of cloth because it appears that only in the last 100 years has man really developed the technology to unlock its secrets. This is what really, I guess why I'm hooked, is with all the money, time, and effort scientists have put in studying the shroud, we still do not know definitively what produced the image. And that really fascinates me. It's a mystery story that you get hooked on, and you don't want to give up until you find an answer.
But does Dr. DeSalvo, biophysicist, have a personal view?
I don't think anyone will ever be able to say this is the burial cloth of Christ. Circumstantial evidence may point strongly to identifying this cloth with this historical person known as Jesus Christ. But all we can do is say, yes, it appears that the biblical descriptions, the historical records do correlate. The shroud could be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ.